The courtroom was tense, all eyes on a frightened 3-year-old clutching her stuffed toy. Everyone believed she was too young to matter until she leaned toward a police dog and whispered words that silenced the room. What she revealed next would change the entire trial and shock the world. The courtroom was heavy with tension, every creak of a chair echoing through the silence. Lawyers shuffled papers, the judge adjusted his glasses, and the jury waited with weary eyes. This wasn't just another trial. It was one that had gripped the entire community. At the center of it all was a case involving a family, a crime, and a child who was said to be the only witness. Yet that child was only 3 years old. Many whispered doubts. How could a toddler testify? Would she even understand the questions? Most expected nothing more than tears or silence. But then came the unusual sight. Beside the witness stand, a police dog rested calmly, its sharp eyes scanning the room. He wasn't there for show. He was there for the little girl, and together they were about to change everything. The courtroom doors opened slowly and all eyes turned. A tiny figure appeared, just 3 years old, clutching a worn-out stuffed bunny to her chest. Her blonde curls framed a pale face, eyes wide with both fear and innocence. She walked carefully, her small shoes tapping against the polished floor. The adults in the room leaned forward, pity and doubt mingling in their expressions. Could this fragile child really hold the key to such a serious case? Some jurors shook their heads softly, convinced she was too young to matter. But then something unexpected happened. The police dog beside the stand lifted his head, ears perking up the moment he saw her. His tail gave a single slow wag. The girl paused, her gaze locking on him. In that instant, the fear in her eyes softened as though she had found the only friend she trusted. The bailiff guided the little girl to the witness stand, but she didn't look at the judge or the lawyers. Instead, her gaze remained fixed on the police dog waiting beside her. She sat down slowly, hugging her stuffed bunny, her lips pressed tightly together. The judge cleared his throat. "Can you tell us your name, sweetheart?" he asked gently. The room held its breath, waiting, but the child didn't answer. She only glanced at the dog again. The German shepherd, sensing her hesitation, lowered his body to the floor, resting his head on the wooden railing near her hands. His eyes were calm, steady, and full of quiet reassurance. The girl reached out with trembling fingers, brushing her tiny hand over his fur. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The officers exchanged puzzled looks while the defense attorney frowned impatiently. To them it seemed pointless. But Daniel, the dog's handler, noticed something others didn't. The girl wasn't ignoring them. She was waiting until she felt safe. For several long minutes, the courtroom grew restless. Lawyers shifted in their seats. The judge tapped his pen, and whispers rose from the gallery. But the little girl still hadn't spoken. She simply leaned closer to the German shepherd, her hand never leaving his fur. Then, without warning, she bent her head down and whispered something into the dog's ear. Her voice was so soft that no one else could hear, but the effect was immediate. The shepherd's ears twitched. His eyes locked onto hers, and his tail wagged faintly. It was as if he understood every word. The room went silent. Even the judge froze, his eyebrows lifting in disbelief. What could a 3-year-old possibly say that would make a trained police dog respond like that? The girl lifted her head, eyes shining with determination. For the first time since entering the courtroom, her lips moved again. This time, the words were louder, meant for everyone to hear, and they would leave the entire room stunned. Gasps rippled through the room as the little girl's tiny voice broke the silence. "You saw it. The bad man," she said, pointing at the police dog. For a moment, no one knew how to react. The prosecutor leaned forward, eyes wide, while the defense attorney scoffed. "Sweetheart," the prosecutor asked softly. "What do you mean?" The child hugged her stuffed bunny tighter, her voice trembling but clear. "He was there when the man hurt Mommy. He barked. He tried to stop him." Her eyes brimmed with tears, but she didn't look away from the shepherd's calm gaze. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Some jurors exchanged shocked looks. Others wiped their eyes. The defense attorney stood abruptly, objecting, but the judge silenced him with a sharp gavel strike. What stunned everyone most wasn't just her words. It was the way the dog responded, shifting closer to her as if confirming her story. For the first time, the truth didn't sound like a child's fantasy. Felt undeniable. The judge leaned forward, his stern expression softening. "Tell us what you remember, little one," he said gently. The courtroom held its breath. The girl's small voice wavered at first, but as her hand stroked the dog's fur, courage seemed to grow within her. "I was hiding in the closet. I heard yelling. Mommy was crying. The bad man pushed her. He hit her. The dog barked and barked, but he couldn't get in." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was so scared. But the dog, he found me after. He sat with me until the police came." A hush fell over the courtroom. Her words weren't just a child's imagination. They matched the timeline investigators had pieced together. Details only a witness could know. The German shepherd let out a low, steady whine, pressing his head gently against her lap as though confirming every word. For the first time, no one doubted her testimony. The defense attorney shot to his feet, his voice sharp. "She's just a child. You can't take this as credible evidence." His words cut through the silence, but the jury wasn't convinced. Too many details matched. Too much lined up with what investigators already knew. The prosecutor rose calmly. "Children may be small, but truth often comes from the most innocent voices. And this truth cannot be ignored." He turned toward the jury, his tone firm. "She's not alone in her testimony. The dog's actions confirm it. Trained, loyal, and unshakably honest." The little girl, still clutching her stuffed bunny, glanced nervously at the shepherd. He shifted closer, his steady presence grounding her. She drew a shaky breath and repeated the most damning part. "The man who hurt Mommy. It was him." She pointed across the courtroom. The accused froze, his face draining of color. Murmurs erupted louder than ever before. In that instant, the tide of the trial turned. The judge's gavel struck, silencing the courtroom. His voice carried the weight of finality. "Given the testimony, the evidence, and the corroboration, the court finds the defendant guilty." Gasps filled the room, followed by a wave of quiet relief. The little girl's shoulders finally relaxed. She turned to the German shepherd and wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. The dog nuzzled her gently, his tail wagging for the first time that day. The moment was pure, unfiltered trust, a child finding safety in her truest protector. Tears shimmered in the eyes of the jury. Even the judge's voice wavered as he dismissed the court. Some truths spoken from the innocence of a child carried more power than any lawyer's argument ever could. Weeks after the trial ended, the story of the little girl and the police dog spread far beyond the courthouse. The girl was finally safe, surrounded by those who loved her. But it was the dog she clung to most, her guardian, her silent protector. Wherever she went, the shepherd followed, his calm presence reminding everyone that justice wasn't delivered by words alone, but by loyalty, courage, and trust. Daniel the handler often said that day, "It wasn't the lawyers or even the judge who carried the truth. It was a child's innocence and a dog's loyalty." And if you like this video, kindly thumbs up, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.